Hi. To change the shape inside our mouth, to change the colour and the resonance, lots of players like to work with vowel shapes. Vowel shapes do various things. They change the position of the tongue inside the mouth. So for example, a vowel like O or O has a really low tongue position. Vowels like E and E has a really high tongue position, and then there are some sort of in the middle. When I say E, I can feel the sides of my tongue touching my top teeth, whereas O and O, I feel there's a lot more depth here in the space inside my mouth, and my tongue is nowhere near my top teeth. So you can experiment with moving your tongue into different positions. You can think about the back of the tongue all the way down and see how when your tongue is in different positions, it affects the sound quality. So that's one way of using vowel shapes. Another way is that they affect the position of the lips. It's easiest to experience this if you put your finger on your lips as if it's a flute. So when you do O, 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 all of these have slightly different lip positions. It might be that your bottom lip moves, it might be that the sides of your lips move. So you can just practice going between different sounds. And you can rearrange those kinds of sounds. And different shapes, different vowel shapes, as you get used to controlling them, can give you different colours. Some will give you a rounder hole between the lips, which often creates a sort of more open sound. Some of them will give you a more oval shape between the lips, which can often be useful for focusing the sound. It's really hard to generalise because we've all got different shaped faces, we've all got different shaped lips. So what happens when one person does something might be very different from what happens when somebody else does it. And also our native language that we speak also can have quite a big effect. So the only way to really discover what works for you and what happens when you change vowel shape is to experiment, to try and to discover for yourself. This is something that you can spend quite a lot of time doing with your finger, singing through the shapes before picking up your flute. And then when you pick up your flute, you might find, especially with the movement of the lips, that depending on how hard you're pressing the flute into your sort of underneath your bottom lip here, if you're pressing a lot, that might limit the amount of movement that you've got. So you want to try and avoid limiting the movement by not really pressing on too hard with the flute. Sometimes with the flute, if you feel like you're pressing on really hard, you want to try and imagine that as you blow, you're giving your flute away. So your flute doesn't want to be really pressed onto your bottom lip or onto your chin or wherever you might locate it. You want to feel that if someone comes up to you and pushes it, you're not really gripping it. It's just really lightly sitting where you want it. And if it's not, that feeling of blowing and giving your flute away as you play, you could try that. The idea is to have lips that are really supple and can move and can sort of be flexible, and then as you're blowing, they can sculpt the air and sculpt the sound and mould the air and mould the sound, and they can help you to create the small nuances in your playing that are going to really elevate your musicianship. So you need the intention there. You need to know what those small nuances are that you're trying to achieve. But then you need to know if you make certain shapes, there's a certain sonic result that happens. It might be that it's more focused, more hollow, warmer, colder, more direct. There are lots of different possibilities, and that's for you to experiment with, to find out for yourself, and also to label for yourself. How do you want to describe those sounds? Make them meaningful for you so that you can employ them to be expressive. Good luck.